The Graphic Histories Podcast.
I got bit by a radioactive bug. I tried an experimental drug. Went up for a stroll on a gamma testing range. I found an enchanted hurricane. I made a serum that made me small. I modified the serum so it would make me tall. Radioactive isotope in my eyes. A dying alien helped me accessorize. I gained the proportion and strength of a spider. Now I'm invincible and I can fly. I lost my sight, my other senses were heightened. I'm gonna put on my pajamas and go fight crime.
Hey there, and welcome to the Graphic Histories Podcast. My name is Andre Mayette, your podcast host. Big thanks to Uka the Mock for our theme song, Superpowers. And big thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again to another action-packed, fun-filled, dynamic show. Today, I talk with Glyph Awards, who is a comic book writer, a very cool guy, horror fan. We get into a lot of talks about horror, about AI, about growing up in Brooklyn, about coming from Haitian roots, all that good stuff. So it was a great chat with Greg, a great talk, and that's coming at you very, very soon. Just a heads up that, sometimes things are a little sporadic with my current schedule. I'm trying to keep every Monday, but it doesn't always happen. So, you might get a break here and there. If you're like me and you listen to quite a few podcasts, sometimes it's nice to have little breaks. You can catch up on the other podcasts when one takes a break. So that's my gift to you. That's my gift to you. Sometimes when scheduling doesn't work out, I may have a break here and there. It may not be as regular as it was in the past year, but I'm working on it. If you had a briefcase full of cash, you want to send it to me so that the show is, fully self-financed. I don't have to worry about working. That'd be wonderful. Although I do really love my job. And so I don't know if I'd want to give it up, even if I did have the money. But who knows? It'd be a good problem to have. Just like a side note on some fun stuff going on in life. Not always fun, but, there's a big thing going on right now in Nova Scotia in which our provincial government has decided to cut a bunch of funding for arts and the environment and culture, closing down a bunch of tourist spots, places where you give information to tourists, all that sort of stuff. And it sucks. And I've been a part of some rallies, and I'm going to continue to be a part of a few things to try to draw some attention towards it. And so just, it's a good reminder that if you are involved in that area, in that unit, if you're not happy with the cuts your government makes, be sure to get out there, let the world know. Because, to quote the old line, the government should fear the people, not the other way around. So they are our employees, and if they're not doing what you want them to do, make your voice heard. I'm not saying do anything crazy, but, public discourse is a good part of democracy, so get out there and let them know. And also just a reminder, I kind of discovered something as well, which I really love. If you're a Canadian, you may be a fan of Canadian content, and as such, you may be a fan of the film Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I did watch the movie, and I deeply loved it. It was very good. It reminded me a lot of just a great comedy, classic comedy. And because of the show, I've been sort of following up on watching their web series and the TV show they had that led to the movie, and it's just great. It's a ton of fun. I haven't got to the actual show yet. I'm still on their original web series, which is, charming in its simplicity, but I can see why these guys, have the career they have and got the attention they got. And Matt Johnson, the one of the two, Jay McCarroll being the other, he directed the film Blackberry, which is a great Canadian film that if you haven't seen, I highly suggest as well, based on the history of BlackBerry, the phone, the company, and did great. He's in it as well, but he does a fantastic job. But yeah, go check it out. Nirvana, the band, the show, the film. But, in the meantime, check out Nirvana, the band, the show, which is available. You can see them all on their website, I believe. So check that out. And, I'm going to get right into it. This is my conversation with Glyph Awards. I did look up his name because I forgot to ask him, and I wanted to make sure. He is of a Haitian background, so does French. There's a whole thing with that. As far as like why French names are in Haitian, you can look it up. But I feel guilty taking the credit to say, hey, I just correctly know how to say his name perfectly. I don't. I looked it up. So you can thank the good people at whoever did the French pronunciation guide on YouTube. And if it is wrong, Greg, feel free to reach out if you're listening and tell me, and I will have retraction in a future episode. But yeah, it's a great conversation. I had a really, really good time with Greg. This, as I mentioned, sometimes they come easy, sometimes they come a little harder. This one came very, very easy. And it was a ton of fun. Great chat, great talk. Could have talked to him for twice as long, but I got to be mindful of my guest time. So even though I'm having a blast, it means all good things must come to an end. So, but a really, really cool conversation, really fun, and I think you'll enjoy it as much as I do. I hope so. Here it is, my talk with Greg Elysée.
It's going.
In progress.
Yeah. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I can't complain. It's starting to get warm here, so things are melting, which is nice.
Yeah, finally, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Where you at?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay. I'm in Nova Scotia.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't know that.
just above you a little bit. So we have very similar weather. So yeah, everything's just it was like plus 10 today or something. Everything's just starting to melt, which thank God. Uh, awesome. Well, welcome to the show. It's really great to have you on.
Uh, Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. Is Brooklyn home? Is that where you grew up?
Born and raised. Yeah,
Really?
born in Brooklyn, New York. Haitian background. I spent a few years over there, but this is where I've practically been all my life.
Really? Um, wow, Haitian background. That's very interesting. How often you make it over there?
Not often.
Yeah.
I've been there since I was really, really young.
Really? Are you both your folks from Haiti?
Yeah, both of them.
Wow, beautiful. So what brought them to Brooklyn?
Well, my father is mainly in Queens, but I guess just general better life, want to be in the city, want to be in the US,
Hmm.
stuff like that. I need to actually ask them what their thought process was
Yeah.
uh, about stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was just one of those things where everyone just wanted a better life.
Mm.
You know, just I came up here, they came up here separately, and they actually met each other here as opposed to down there.
Oh,
So.
really? Wow. Okay, that's cool. I've actually talked to someone else who had a similar story. I can't remember what it was. I don't, it wasn't Haiti, obviously, but it was something similar. It was from some other country. It was some kind of a mixer, I guess, of like people from that community, and they met there at like some dance or something. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's lovely. That's really cool. What do your folks do? Like, what did they do when you were young?
um, what was my mom doing? My mom jumped around with different jobs, but she predominantly a bus driver,
Really?
and
Cool.
my pops is more so was in real estate.
Ah, okay. Wow, that'd be quite a booming market in Brooklyn. I imagine that would be an interesting place to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, growing up, I guess, did you like I know you're a writer, so as you were growing up, were you reading comics? Because I know comics is something that obviously is the realm you're dabbling in. So,
Yeah, when I discovered comics around the second grade.
hmm.
This was around the time when the new Superman was going on after the death of Superman. So
Oh,
whenever
right, the reign of Superman. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good time.
yeah,
I mean, you look back on it, it's kind of dumb, but like as a kid, it was very exciting.
here's the thing, I wasn't reading at that time.
Uh,
It was more so I discovered it around that time because
hmm.
they were having, they were celebrating it and they had like these action figures and they had the
Right.
action figure commercials.
Mm.
And I saw Superboy in one of those commercials for the Superman action figures. And I just thought the animation of him just looked so cool. And I was just like, he was like, don't mess with the S. And I was like, yo, who is this? Um, and I realized I learned it was Superboy. And when I was on my way to school, I passed by a comic shop and I was just like, oh, this is like really cool. So when I went back to the shop sometime later and I had some money, the first thing I wanted was a Superboy comic book. I wanted to see, what this guy was about. And it was
Mm.
Superboy number 19. Um, and I opened that up and that was it. I just remember falling in love with it, and I got to middle school, I was doing fan fiction of like Batman stories and coming up with my own characters for things, and it just gradually it just made sense to be a comic book writer. That's all I wanted to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that I remember as a kid, like it was like you and your friends would argue over which one was the real Superman. When they were doing that, you're like, well, that one looks like him, or that one looks like him, but he's a robot. And I think John Henry was the only one that we all collectively agreed was obviously not the Return of Superman, but but Superboy, I always thought the design was so cool. I can see why it would have grabbed you with the jacket, the yellow S on the back, the leather jacket, and like just the way it was a very I guess it was kind of 90s-ish, but I really dug that costume. Every time I see him wearing like a t-shirt, I'm just like, why is he that? Like, he looked so much cooler before.
Yeah, I hated that redesign
I
so
know,
much.
me too.
And then what I hated was even though I love Young Justice,
Mm,
I that they went after that particular version of him. And on top of that, the personality was so different. He had this cocky, cool, like suave type, or trying to be suave,
hmm
Superboy character, and then he became like the very, down and depressed and woe is me, I hate life, and I'm just like, it's like there's characters like that where I feel like it fits, but Superboy was Superboy for a reason, you
Yeah,
know.
I always liked that too, because yeah, he was like kind of cocky, but I've always kind of liked those sort of characters. Like, me and my friend that reached out to you initially that do the X-Men podcast, he's always like, well, who are your favorite mutants? And I'm like, Quicksilver and Namor, and he's like, they're like the two biggest assholes, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know why, but I like them. It's just like there's something interesting about someone that like does the right thing, but still is kind of a dick, because like. I don't know. It's something like they understand the value of what they're doing, but they also are annoyed by the time I guess it takes away from whatever it is they want it to. So
I've always
yeah.
liked the Peter David explanation as to Quicksilver's dickishness.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, there was he described it in one issue when it was an issue of X Factor when they went to therapy. And
The therapy episode.
yeah, we love the therapy episodes. It was uh, Samson. Samson was
Oh yeah, Leonard Sampson. Yeah.
oh, interviewing them and stuff like that. And Quicksilver pretty much said, "Do you ever been online, like in a bank, and you just need it to get done, whatever it is, and you already know what you want to do, but then you have to deal with all the people in front of you not knowing what it is that they want." And he was like, "That's his life every single day."
Yeah.
Like every
Yeah.
a
That's a great
stance.
explanation. Like if because I imagine his perception and everything moves so fast that like when people are just standing in line or there'll be agony because you just want to get to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah, it's like I remember. I think it was in that famous Superman story where what do you get for the man who has everything or whatever? Or was it that one? No, actually, it was on the Justice League Unlimited cartoon I think when it ended when Superman had the big fight with Darkseid at the end, and he says something along the lines of, "Do you know how restrained my life is? That like I'm so strong that like walls are tissue paper to me." And like,
Yeah.
and he's I've spent my whole life having to restrain myself and hold back in everything I do. But he's like, but you, I think you could take it, So he really like, and he really opens up on him, and it's like it's such a cool line and moment for like. I've always loved Superman. I think he should be a happy, hopeful, good character. And it was nice to see a little bit of that, but not like go too much with it. Like I don't want him to be darker or broody. I like my happy James Gunn Superman.
Listen, I'm with you. That's
So
to me, that's Superman. Leave it to Batman. Leave it to Batman to be the
yeah,
dark
yeah,
one. So Superman represent the light, the hope.
yeah. It's the way it always should have been. Like I always feel it. I guess it's like a product of the Hollywood system where they're like, this did well, so everything should be this. Like it's like the Christopher Nolan Batman did well, so everything should be dark superhero stuff. And it's like, I don't know, like maybe be slightly true to the character, have a little, a little. I understand when they change stuff. I get that. I'm never usually complaining about it too much but I just feel like there's certain characters fundamentally that they make into darkly tragic characters. Not every character needs to be that. And
That's
I
true.
really appreciated what Gunn did. It almost made the fact that he isn't like that, the fact that he's punk rock in quotes to an extent, because he doesn't. He's like the one guy that doesn't have the tortured, horrible past, and and is dark and broody all the time. and he shines for that. So that's cool. So I guess as you were growing up, did you find a community of friends that were all into comics? Were you?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't call myself an outcast when it came to stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think when I was growing up, stuff like Pokemon was popular,
Hmm.
and that was like the typical geek stuff.
Hmm.
And we had what else was popular growing up? Ninja Turtles.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
loved Ninja Turtles growing up. Batman was always a thing.
Hmm.
When I got to high school, I think I found even more people that was into like general, well, what would now be considered pop culture, like comic books and things like that, because I went to an art school for high
Oh,
school.
nice.
And so a lot of those people there who were in the art department, I guess some of them had the dream of being some type of comic book artist or into manga and things like that. So, and then also I was hanging out at the comic shop near me, so there's a bunch of us, just geeks.
Nice.
And honestly, it's been nice at the same time being at this age, and you're just like, yo, we were that generation that sort of it was starting to become cool
Yeah.
by the time that we were following it. And so when I would hear people say they had a hard time finding friends because of what they were into, I was just like, that you guys are like right before my generation,
Yeah.
where we all just found each other.
Yeah. It's like it's wild how much that like nerdy stuff and like I've talked about this before, but not even just nerdy stuff, horror stuff. All of that has kind of come into like it's in the center of popular culture. So like even when I was like Harry Potter, the books, like that was kind of like when I was they were coming out when I was nerdy enough that I was reading them. I was probably just a little too old for them, but I still went through them, like read them all.
Yeah,
I just turned 40 this year. That sets or last year. That's where I am age wise. But um, so like you think about all of these things that like maybe 5, 10 years before that, the idea of everyone reading a fantasy novel not being the biggest thing in the world was like totally like I'm in the corner reading The Hobbit, like trying not to be seen reading it in high school. And all of a sudden like Harry Potter is like wizards and everything else is like the biggest book. Or even like Twilight, like a book that's like a cultural phenomenon to that level that has vampires as the main thing. Like before that, it was like Anne Rice novels, and they were nowhere near as big as that thing became. So, you're right. It's sort of interesting being on the cusp and seeing it kind of shift. And now all the multi-million-dollar movies are all superhero movies. So it's like,
I
the
know.
yeah, for better for worse. But
Right?
I mean, I generally like mostly every superhero thing that comes out. I mean, I wasn't a massive fan of Snyder's sort of dark DC universe, but all said and done, like I'm a pretty big a fan of anything comic wise. I think it's just because there's a part of me that's like remembers when when we got like Ben Affleck's Daredevil. It was like, oh yeah, it's another superhero movie. We got to go watch that. There's not that many. Like they might take them away from us. We got to support them now. Now, like every show is some kind of superhero version of a thing. So,
I think for me, I'm one of those folks who I want them to be good. You
oh,
know,
I 100% do too. Yeah,
yeah, I want them to be good. I want them to be successful. And unfortunately, a lot of them sometimes aren't good.
mm,
And it is just like, oh, this sucks. Like you, I wasn't big on the Snyderverse. That was
no.
very difficult time for me trying to like superhero movies. But
You know what
uh,
annoyed me though is that like I didn't like everything he like. I liked. I mean, I don't think Snyder's listening. I don't want to insult the man, but I like the movies he directed that he didn't write, and then like Dawn of the Dead, I really liked. Although James Gunn wrote that script, and some other and like 300 I liked, and I really hated Sucker Punch. That's when I was like, oh,
I hate that
yeah,
movie.
me too. Me too. That's when I was like, I like everything this guy did. And then I saw Sucker Punch, and I was like, oh no, oh God. It was the same with M Night Shyamalan when Lady in the Water came out. I was like, oh no, what is this? This isn't what I wanted. Um, but then, like, Superman came out. I was like, well, this really isn't for me. I tried to like it, but it was just so dark and broody, and then just the whole thing became that. Although I did actually like the Snyder Cut of Justice League, but
I did too. Surprise.
yeah,
There were
I
things that I preferred in Joss Whedon's version
yeah,
that wasn't in the Snyder Cut. I was just like, that would have made things even smoother. But
yeah.
for the most part, that's one of the few Snyder films
Yeah.
I actually enjoy. You
I
know?
think it had something to do with the fact, like I said this before, but he had the benefit of foresight. Like he could have seen what everyone, when he wasn't there to do it, he could have seen everyone's complaints about what Joss Whedon did, and then he could have course corrected. So he had that ability after because they went and filmed a bunch of new stuff after that.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, but I mean, end result, it's like a 4 hour, pretty cool looking superhero epic that like, and I guess because Superman kind of gets to be a bit more of a hopeful character and less broody and stuff. It's almost like Batman became the hopeful character, which I was like, this is strange, but I'll take it.
I have a funny Snyder story with
Oh, please tell.
when because I'm part of a program where we get to see, certain films like during the critics when they come
Yep.
and
Advanced
watch.
screenings.
Yeah, advanced
Yeah.
screenings. The critics are always there and stuff like that. It was a program I've been with since film school in
Oh,
college.
did you do
And
film critique in college, or were you related to that?
I was a film major
Oh,
in college. I wanted to be a film director, everything, all of that stuff.
oh, cool. We'll get to that, but sure, go with the Snyder thing. I'm a big film guy, so I could talk film all day.
Oh, so yeah, but one I went for the screening for Superman,
Mhm.
and Snyder was there, Amy Adams was there as well as Henry Cavill. And after I just remember when the movie ended, I just remember sitting there, and a few people was just like a little quiet. They weren't sure like how to take it, and I remember thinking, not bad, although the more I saw the movie, the more I disliked it.
Mm.
But the first time I watched it, I was just like, okay, decent-ish, but the snap of the head caught me so off guard where I was just like, oh, people are gonna trip about
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
knew automatically. And when after the screening and the Q&A ended, um, Snyder and I ended up bumping into each other in this like a shop. And I was just like, hey, I just came from your film and this and that. I was just like, are you ready for the shitstorm you're about to get with the Superman killing this man? And he was like, oh, I can't wait.
That but like as a like you can say what you want about someone's work. As a person, he seems like a very kind, decent person. So whatever. Like he's been very openly vocal about how supportive he is to what James Gunn is doing and how it's different than he did, but he's not like, trying to clip it or anything. But it's just yeah, I know it's I just like I don't know. I just feel like everything doesn't need to be that. And I guess that's his style, but and
And he,
then when he did another zombie movie, I was like, oh, maybe this will turn it around for me. The Army of the Dead movie, and then I watched it and I was like, oh man, I didn't even watch the Rebel Moon stuff he did, but
but here's the thing, he's like, regardless, so he's one of those directors where it's just one of those things where I'm like, not for me, but
mm,
I love the fact that he has a fan base. Like I
yeah,
love
sure,
because I feel like everyone should have something that they enjoy. And the fact that
yeah,
there are people who will literally fight tooth and nail to support this man, I'm just like, hey, he was a director for you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I think that's absolutely awesome. Not for
I
me though,
Yeah,
but uh,
I've tried to embrace that too. Like it's like if it's not for me, I'm not gonna like if you tell me you love Michael Bay's Transformers movies, I'm not gonna like stand there and yeah, I know, but I'm not gonna stand there and yell at you or tell you you're an idiot or like if it makes you happy, then I'm happy for you. Then great. Watch them all, enjoy them, love them, enjoy your life. They're not for me. They're just not for me. They make money, so obviously there's enough people out there. Same with Fast Furious movies, whatever. There's people that like them.
I love
Good.
those movies. I love those.
Those movies are getting increased. Like I every once in a while I drop in on one, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, this is why I don't normally watch these too much. Like I'll be like, where was I at? I think I was in Florida at Disney World, and we were staying at one of the Universal Studio resorts. I think it was the Cabana Bay one, maybe, and there was some night at the pool, like after we were done at the park, we went back to the hotel, and at the pool they were showing one of the Fast Furious movies on the TV, like on the edge of the pool was just showing. So I was just swimming around, drinking, and just watching it, and I was like, oh man, I think it was seven, the one where they drive between the towers in Abu Dhabi, between one and the other, and I was like, oh my God, they're just
Those
cartoons.
are my guilty pleasure. I love those movies. I love
Nah. Well, hey, I'm glad you enjoy them. They're for you. It's like the same on any way. Like you're a film guy, you can go to someone and say like, here's this Ingmar Bergman 2 hour, depressing black and white movie that like you just eat up, but it might not be the thing that someone else is gonna love. That's the
Exactly.
joy of having friends that are movie people too, because you kind of get a vibe for what they like, and it's a joy to bring them stuff like that and be like, hey, this is for you. But every once in a while, I have a friend who I'm reading a book, David Lynch's book, is it Catch the Big Fish or Catching the Big Fish? So it's just sort of like his stories about inspiration and meditation, other stuff. Um, but he tells stories kind of about his career throughout it. But my buddy, they did a retrospective after he passed away at the theater out here where they showed a bunch of his old movies, and I went and caught a bunch of the ones I hadn't seen because I'm a pretty big fan of Twin Peaks and some of his other stuff, but never got around to Lost Highway or one of those ones. So my buddy, my buddy and I went in separate nights to see Eraserhead because he hadn't seen it, and neither had I. And I loved it, and he's like, "That's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life." And we agree on pretty much everything, but I was like, "What?" Like, so not for him, for me, I guess.
I love that movie.
Me
I
too.
watched that many times. I after he passed, that was the movie that I watched because I was like, this is my David Lynch film. I
Yeah.
love that so much.
I got to revisit The Elephant Man. That's one I haven't rewatched in a while, and I've never seen Straight Story. And oddly enough, you're going to kill me for this, is I've never seen Mulholland Drive because
Oh
I've
wow.
been saving it for like a perfect moment. I feel like I should just watch it because
So I feel like Mulholland Drive is how do I it's his most like Hollywood polished type movie.
yeah,
Still such a David Lynch ass movie. Like there's
yeah.
nothing like it. But
That's why I'm looking forward to it so much. So
yeah,
I
you
guess it's like when you really look forward to something, it's almost a letdown when you finally watch it. Even if it is great, you're just sort of like the anticipation's gone. It's kind of like Christmas for me, I guess. So
I'd say it's up there
yeah.
as I don't think any anticipation will disappoint you. Like
Hmm.
it's so well made. It's a
Yeah.
very well made movie. But it's definitely one of those things where you can tell like okay, he's been in Hollywood. He knows how to direct and light and all like it's like we know all that. It's
It's
probably the most polished, but it's still very much like
Oh,
a
that's
David
cool.
Lynch movie.
I mean, Blue Velvet is probably up there for me. And I finally did watch the Twin Peaks movie, which was quite shocking because I watched it with a friend who'd never watched the show. And so
Mhm.
he just watched the movie first. And I'm like, I assure you, the show is nowhere near this graphic or disturbing, like, it's interesting. Like, after watching the show for so many years and finally getting to the movie, it was like, oh my God, they really took it to a whole other sphere.
I couldn't really get into the movie, honestly. My issue with the movie was it got rid of some of the mystery
Well, yeah,
of the show,
yeah.
and to me, the mystery was what made the show what it was.
Agreed. When you finally found out who killed her, it kind of killed the show.
Yeah, and even when they revealed the whole thing with Leland and Twin Peaks, and that was still like, holy shit, this is crazy what I'm watching.
Mhm.
But then once that got solved, and then David Lynch himself left the show, it was just like, why am I watching this shit? Like, why is this?
It became very much like a soap opera. Like I rewatched it recently, and I was like, and I remember thinking like Wyndham Earle was such a scary bad guy, and then I watched the show, and he's done running around in a horse costume and like painting people into giant ponds and like dressed up as old men, and I was like, oh my God, this is so goofy.
I
It's like
hated
Days of Our Lives or something.
the only thing I enjoyed after that was because David Lynch came back to do the last episode, the
Yeah, which
finale.
was excellent. That was excellent.
Like, this is what we've been missing.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd suggest his book. It's very interesting because he does talk about meditation a bit, but it's not like it's all about that. It's more about like transcendental meditation allows him to open his imagination more to an extent where like, but he's really just about once you have the idea, no matter what it is, hold on to it and don't sacrifice it, don't change it. And everything should be in service to it no matter what. And he talks about like the bigger fish is getting into your psyche deep enough that you can catch the big fish, which are the big ideas. And
mhm.
he Bob, he didn't know where the story was going, and he just said like take opportunities when you see them, and like he looked down the hall and like a guy that was working like a grip or something was
Yeah.
doing something behind Laura Palmer's bed, and he just looked really disturbing behind it to David Lynch, and he ran in. He's like, "Are you an actor?" And the guy's like, "Well, yeah, I want to be." And he's like, "You're hired." And then like he just like filmed the scene with this guy behind the bed, and then later on they had that scene where her mother wakes up after seeing something from a dream, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, perfect." And then the guy's like, the cinematographer's like, "No, we got to film it again." He's like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because someone was in the mirror. We caught someone in the mirror." And he goes, "Who?" And he said it was the guy who played Bob. I can't remember his name. And then he's like, "Oh my God, it's perfect. Like keep it," because like, and then just kept and then Bob became the whole evil entity
Yeah.
just around that guy who had just worked on the set and just like so
I
yeah,
just
it's kind of interesting.
remember seeing that, like his head by the bed. That shit creeped me out the first
Yeah.
time I
And
saw
that was just they were filming it and accidentally caught him or something, and Lynch saw it and
it.
thought it was disturbing. Let's keep it. And then there's a bunch of other stuff like that too with other actors and stuff that he just sort of like I guess they talked about using David Hopper in Velvet before, but then at that point he was kind of well known. He had like a pretty serious drinking problem and it was hard to deal with. So they kept not really wanting to use him. And then eventually he reached out to David Lynch and said, somebody reached out and said that he was clean. He just did another movie. It was good. So Lynch was going to call the director, but then like of that movie and see how he was to work with. But then Hopper like reached out to him and said, I need like I'm clean. I can do this movie. You need to hire me. I am I am this character. And David Lynch said, which made me happy, but also disturbed me seriously because Frank Booth is such a scary human, like he's a monster. But yeah, so yeah, you went into school for filmmaking. So what was the dream? What were the films that influenced you to get into that?
Oh man. The film that made me decide like, yo, movies is everything for me,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to know everything about the making of this film was Edward Scissorhands.
Nice.
Unfortunately, it's hard for me to say that now because that whole Tim Burton is a racist type thing that came out a
Is that
couple
new?
years.
I don't know this. What happened?
Oh yeah, that motherfucker was racist, man.
Really? Oh no.
So he probably doesn't even think of himself as one. But all right. So growing up, when did I fall in love with Tim Burton?
How
I
could you make
was
movies about like outsiders and people that like society looks badly on and be a racist? Like, my God.
exactly.
Like
It
that's
doesn't
like his
make
whole
sense.
thing.
It doesn't make sense. So I'll explain
Wow.
the whole thing
Okay,
to you.
sure.
So I think I was definitely in elementary school discovering his movies, right?
Hmm.
And I remember when they back here in New York, we used to have Channel 11, so WB used to show Edward Scissorhands all the time, and I would always ignore the movie because I just thought it looked stupid. It didn't look interesting to me. And one day, at the library, my little brother and I, we could pick up like VHS to rent, and I saw it again, Edward Scissorhands, and I was like, let me finally see what this is about. And my brother and I watched it, and we cried. Like
It's a great
that movie,
movie.
yeah, we cried. And since then, I'm like, wait, Tim Burton. And then I'm looking at all his other movies. He did the Batman films at the time. He did Beetlejuice. He did all this other stuff. And Sleepy Hollow eventually came out. And when I just remember after that, just every time I would find like something that had a special edition where I can see the making of the
Hmm.
movie, that was all I've ever wanted. Like
Hmm.
I loved watching those stuff when the DVDs for any movie I liked came out. I always wanted the ones that had the behind the scenes. And
Those are all Blu-rays.
you see, look at that.
There's another rack there, and I have another big one, a couple other ones in another room, and a
Love it.
massive amount of Criterions for that reason because I love watching all the special.
I love, yeah, anything with those special
Yeah.
features. But one thing I've always noticed though was just the lack of black people in his films. And I remember one of my friends and I, we were huge Tim Burton friends in high school. And we would jokingly just be like, "Oh, Tim Burton, why are you so racist? Like he doesn't cast us in these movies." And it would be like every once in a while you'll get a black person, but
Billy D. Williams or Samuel Jackson.
yeah, and that's it. And
Yeah.
one day, this was when he was coming out with that what is it called, Miss Peregrine, and like the
Yeah,
school,
Samuel
like
Jackson's a bad guy. Yeah.
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 And I remember when I saw the trailer for that, I'm like, oh, Sam looks amazing. Like the design was so cool. And I'm like, this is cool seeing this like dope black man in a Tim Burton film. And somebody asked him about it in an interview. And he said the worst thing you could say ever. Because he was just like, oh, we've noticed, you casted Sam Jackson as the villain. And they brought up the fact that he rarely casts black people. And essentially, it was one of those answers was like, if the film doesn't call for it, he doesn't see the need of casting people of color in his movies. And essentially, how he understands diversity is the thing to talk about now. And how when he was
Oh,
younger, he was like, how he was younger, he felt disrespected as a viewer when he would see like um like certain diversity happening in like the Brady Bunch and stuff like that. He was just like he knew it was for like correct political correct reasons. He wasn't him as a viewer wasn't asking, oh, where are the white people when it came to black exploitation films? So
yeah.
why should this? And I'm just like the tone
Wow.
deafness of the like
Wow.
what? And I'm just thinking like you make all these movies of like people with scissor hands and like the dead coming to like all this stuff. Fucking Catwoman doesn't make sense as a character, but but like
Well,
a
even
black
like yeah, like Ed Wood, like all these kind of like marginalized outsiders trying to make this thing. Like, my God, that's amazing and
yeah,
horrifying.
a
It's
lot of
like just accused
people.
tokenism. He's like, I'm upset about all of that. Like,
Yeah,
that's such a like a straw man argument too. And you're like, well, they don't put white people in black exploitation films. They're the bad guys in those. It's like, yeah, because that whole genre is an answer to the fact that there are no black people or hardly any in regular films. Like, so that's why
yeah.
they did so well, because black people came out to watch them because they weren't seeing it themselves represented in mainstream films. It's insane. Wow.
A bummed up. The thing is, ever since then, you can tell because it was big. It was a big blow up. A lot of
How did I not
people
know this? I must have missed it.
yeah, people were upset about it. A lot of fans, like his fans of color, like
Yeah,
myself, we were. I haven't really watched the Tim Burton film since, and not
you're not
even.
missing much.
I'm a huge huge Adams Family fan, and I've yet to watch Wednesday because Tim Burton is
Right,
attached.
right. Yeah, I did watch first season of that. It was all right. Um, I don't like. I think it was he had a kind of a string of movies the ones that I usually find I like the most are the ones that are like, I guess, the most. I guess Ed Wood's probably the one I like the most. But like Big Eyes, the one about the woman, the female painter that makes those paintings of the little kids with big eyes. Heard the
Yeah,
true story about how her husband was like taking credit for her paintings and all that. Like that one, I really enjoyed. And what's the other one that he did that? There's another one that's almost a more like normal story, and I really like all of his stuff. But Dark Shadows, I really hate it, and that's when I was like, oh, I think I might be turning on this guy. But Ed Wood's probably my favorite one he made. I think just I finally watched it a couple years ago, and I was really taken with it because as anyone who's ever felt like you didn't really belong, and you find a community of people that do, it's kind of it's a heartwarming sort of story, and especially it's just very well done. It's a fun movie, but yeah, that's a alarming. Ugh. I have it's funny, there's a podcast I listen to called The White Canon. It's with Josh Olson, who's a scriptwriter. He does a podcast with Joe Dante called The Movies That Made Me, which I really like. And so they start advertising this other show he does where I don't know, I can't remember the name of the co-host, but basically it's like him and the co-host who's black and some other guests watch movies that are considered like white canon, like the movies all white people like. So and then kind of go through it and they talk about it, and they had a really long discussion about Wes Anderson movies, about how like it's almost like black people don't really, I guess, like every once in a while one shows up, but they're not really like prominent in his movies. It's not like it's omitted on purpose. It's just like in his world there aren't black people. Like it was a very interesting conversation about it, like because Danny Glover's in one or two, so but it's a fun concept because sometimes they'll go the other way. Well, they'll do the black canon. They'll watch like a black movie
Mm.
and discuss it, and it's always very interesting to see both sides of what and especially what someone from the other, like the opposite race would uh would pick. Like what's like the things they pick out of it that you wouldn't think as like a white person growing up just watching these movies. So it's
Mhm.
very, very interesting. Like they did The Graduate, they did The Big Lebowski, they did Harold and Maude, I think. I'm trying to think of all of them. It's a bunch. But yeah, it was interesting. It's an interesting show.
I gotta look into that.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened with film school? Did you go all the way through?
Oh man. So I went to film school. I went to Brooklyn College,
Hmm.
and great. It's a great. I had a great experience. Great
Awesome.
program, and to the point where I stayed in school 2 years, 2 years longer,
Oh, really?
just to take advantage of the theater and the film department.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, it was great, great experience. And what happened was I was working on a film that I wrote, I directed,
Mhm.
and for the most part, a lot of it was done. But over time, I just kept adding to it, and it came to the point where I got stuck, and then I burnt out, and then I started teaching film. I started teaching film and writing, and that was that. I never quite finished the film, and it became a thing where I was just like, I can't push myself to get back into it until I finish this damn film, and then that's just been collecting dust, honestly.
Mm.
And um and I just felt more into comic book writing. That started taking more
Nice.
priority for me, and that's been the thing that's sort of blown up in a way. But recently, I'd say the past year or so, is one of those things where I'm just like, nah, I need to get back to this. Like it's like I went to school for it. My parents are probably like, did we waste our time and money
Yeah.
supporting you for this? But at the same time, I was just like, well, I feel like a lot of what I learned in film I applied to my writing anyways.
Hmm. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I don't believe in wasted experiences. Like I'm sure everything you took from that would be
Yeah.
easy. Do you find it hard collaborating? Because I find like people that come from like film or something like that and then get into writing, it's kind of like or even artists, they're like, oh, I don't have to like rely on 70 people. I can do this all of this myself, you know. Was that a draw to you as well, or
I mean, I've always grown up collaborating in some
yeah.
sense, because like yeah, film is a collaborative effort, and even comic books is a
No,
collaborative
that's
effort.
true.
So same with film, where you have your script, and then you're directing, and then you have to rely on your cinematographer to help bring that vision to life. It's almost the same with like with me with the writing. You have to hope your artist is good enough to bring that vision to life,
Mm.
and so it becomes this team. And it's funny because I feel comics is definitely about the collaboration between the artist and the writer,
Mhm.
and film. I don't think the cinematographer gets the same
No, they
type of
don't. They don't.
limelight. Like I feel like they should, because there's so much work that they've done to bring the director's vision to life, and I feel like you have to be a film person to really, um, like to really give the credit to the cinematographer. You have to understand what goes into the process, and everyone is always about the director. The
Yeah.
director.
Cinematographers and editors are the two I don't think get enough credit.
Bro, the
Like,
editor can make or break your
yeah,
whole.
100%.
Oh man.
Well, if you look at most big directors, they use the same cinematographer their whole or most of the time through their whole career,
Mm.
because they're like, unless they're off doing something else, they usually get someone. But like, yeah, like you look at Roger Deakin did like almost all of the Coen Brothers movies, and you're just like, that's why they look so. A friend of mine gave me his book for Christmas, and it's really cool. Like just describing trying to find the like in No Country for Old Men when the song where he finds the money. That's my favorite one of my favorite movies, probably my favorite movie. Um and like how they needed a place by water and they needed a tree, and he's describing how they had to cut it and find two locations to make the one location and do it all. It's just really interesting. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. For that style and all that. Yeah, like yeah, you're right. Those two don't get it. Because I don't know as a director if I ever directed anything, if I could ever cede it to an editor. I feel like I'd have to edit it, or at least have be sitting with them. I don't know. It just seems like too much power to give to one person. But I guess you have to understand that that's like Scorsese's used the same editor like his whole career, pretty much. So
Yeah, so for me, I love editing in
yeah.
general. I all the projects that I've ever directed or the shorts that I've done, I've always been my own editor.
Hmm.
But I at the same time also understand giving your work to somebody else
Mm.
to edit. Because a lot of directors they don't like to edit. And then on top of
Really?
that,
Hmm.
yeah, so when I went to film school, there was some who just like, get it away from me. And some they wanted to do it themselves because, they had their vision.
Hmm.
But then there were some who were so locked in with their vision that they didn't really see that sometimes you needed somebody else to
Hmm.
fine
That's a
tune
good
it.
point.
And that was one of the things, one of the classes we had to like do that. We had to force ourselves to allow our work to be edited by other people. And sometimes it was really cool, honestly, sometimes seeing how they interpreted particular moments that you had in mind, and you're like, huh, I didn't think of it that way. And you could either decide to keep it or not, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. I guess that makes sense. You're sometimes you're too close to the material, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I know like Robert Rodriguez, he edits his stuff still.
Yeah, but he came from a DIY, like, making movies for like 10 grand on a camcorder in the desert somewhere. Uh, I kind of respect the guys that start that way and then really make something of it, but don't, but also still have that mindset, I guess, that DIY sort of mindset. He seems to be one. Kevin Smith is still one too, and others like that kind of still sort of hold on to their humble roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting into writing comics, how did that begin? Like what were the first comics?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would say me writing Batman fan fiction
Yeah,
was
okay, well, yes.
I was in middle school. I was a huge fan of the Tim Burton and Joe Schumacher Batman films and the 90s Batman animated series.
Oh,
So,
that's the best Batman.
oh my God, I rewatched it a couple of years ago.
It's still great.
It's amazing. But yeah, just I was into that and writing those fan fiction, and also I would create my own sort of characters based off of mythology, and I loved what Mortal Kombat used to do with mythology, and that was also very inspirational for me as well. And when I got to high school, I read a book by Peter David about writing comic books, and at the time even though I sort of knew that's what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
but getting that book solidified it. And at the time, I only bought the book because Peter David's name was in it. I was going through a Peter David like craze, anything that had his name in it. I was just picking up. He was just one of him, David Hine, Dwayne McDuffie. Those were like guys, and anytime
Nice.
I saw their names, I was gonna buy it. And
David Hines not one I hear people talk that much about. That's interesting.
oh, he is my obsession, man.
Really? Wow. The others I hear a lot, but I don't think David Hines ever come up before. That's interesting.
Yeah, David
Yeah.
Hunt, to the point where he's sort of like my unofficial mentor, honestly. Like
Really?
we like tracked each other down. I tracked him down and I was like his biggest fan. Um but no, so I read the book, the whole book front to back, the Peter David writing for comics, and I was like, nah, this is what I want to do. This is
Nice.
it. And I created his Nana a little bit right after college because when I went to Brooklyn College, one of the requirements is Greek mythology, and I've taught myself Greek mythology as a kid. I was obsessed, but
Me
I
too,
realized,
oddly enough.
oh, it's everything,
I had
bro. But
massive books, any book I could get on Greek mythology, I was really obsessed with it.
me, me too,
Yeah.
me too, honestly. But when I got to college and I realized if I wanted to learn about like African mythology or the Black mythology, I had to take an elective. That was a choice. And I just remember feeling a way about that. I was like, yo, so to learn my stuff, it's a choice, but I'm required to learn, these white fairy tales. And
Mhm.
I was just like, no, I didn't like that. So it's not a weird spot. It sort of represented, what I wanted to do of trying to hopefully educate people in like Black mythology and as well as keeping Black stories alive because he's the son of a non-city spider who is probably arguably the most well-known Black god. And
Mhm.
at the time, a lot of people that I knew didn't know him. And I was just like, let me keep his stories alive. And so that's why throughout the series of It's Not of the Were Spider, you're meeting different figures, different characters and gods and villains from, African, Caribbean, African American mythologies and legends and traditional spirituality stories and so on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you're right about Anansi, because my he's the only one that I could probably name. off of the top of my head. And that's probably just because of American Gods or Nazi Boys, the sequel book. Uh, but actually, Doctor Who not too long ago did a story that was sort of on the TV show, did one that was sort of based around that the culture and that character, like the web weaver and the storyteller aspect of it, which was pretty cool actually. It was neat.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Everyone when that episode came out, everyone was hitting me up about it, but I've yet
Oh,
to watch.
really?
Yeah, I've yet to watch it. I've become the guy that anytime anything Anansi
Oh,
pops
really?
up, would just flood my messages, and I'm just like, thanks, guys. It's like, you
I
know,
guess
I,
when
I don't mind it, but at the same time, it's just like, oh man, every time this guy gets mentioned, like that's my.
it's funny because it's obscure enough that it wouldn't be all the time. Like every once in a while something will come up, but it's not, I'm gonna say obscure, but it's like it's not used in storytelling as much as some of the others. So
Getting up there, though. He's getting up there. I feel like during the 90s and early 2000s, you'll get a little bit of stuff inspired by him. Like the Gargoyles, they had an episode.
oh
But
really? I gotta go
yeah,
back and watch that
Gargoyles,
show again.
he was a villain in one episode.
No,
He was voiced by LeVar Burton, which was awesome.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I loved how most of the cast of that show were just next generation people.
And we had the Static Shock episode where Anansi was a superhero for like 2 episodes. And then I think his most recent blow up, honestly, where a lot of people discovered him was American Gods. Now it became more than black people knew who he was now.
Mm-hmm.
Because Orlando Jones, he freaking killed it with his rendition of Anansi. And I was really looking forward to Anansi Boys, but unfortunately, I think the whole situation with Neil Gaiman, it's like swiped. And I love that book. That book I've read so many times, laughed so many times. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. I guess, yeah, it sucks when the people that they create the things you love turn out to be, I mean, whatever you want to say about Gaiman, he and like I guess there's different levels of what's of their, crimes in quotes. But yeah, it's just it sucks, especially when it's like someone that like seemed to have such a good voice for like, for the nerd community and was seemingly really accepting and really like on display of all these sort of things and celebrating like women and all these other you're like okay this guy seems to really be a genuinely cool person. Then it comes out and you're like, oh god damn it, like you know I remember it wasn't like I was a big I still am I guess, but I haven't read a comic of his in a long time, but big Warren Ellis fan. And then like when his thing kind of happened, and it wasn't even like I wouldn't call it as bad as others. It was mostly just about how he would be frank, like groom. I guess that is pretty bad. When you use the word groom, you're like, yeah, that's bad. He would like meet these young girls on his not young, but like of age women, but young people that want to get into comics, and sort of like attempt to mentor them until they, and when they would turn him down, he would just cut them out. But there was one storyline about how he had like, or one story that came out that he had met at some Comic Con. There was like 6 or 7 women over the course of the weekend that he had met up for these different events. And I remember somebody posted like sick, like it was like every day. I was like, when did he have time to go to the convention? Like, but anyway,
That's unfortunate, man. He
yeah, no,
was
it sucks.
his work was awesome. His Castlevania work. Have you?
Yeah, that's when he left the show
Oh,
was after that happened because it was sort of like, once again, it wasn't like violent or whatever. It was just shitty, and that's enough, sometimes to have the community turn against you. And I did deservedly so. I mean, you can't take advantage of people like that or want something from them in exchange for helping them. Like that's just a terrible way to go about your life. But
it's not that
yeah,
hard to not be a shitty person,
yeah,
honestly.
it isn't. It really isn't.
Not that difficult. I don't know
Yeah,
why people continue to be so shitty.
yeah,
Especially the comic world. It's such a small world, to be honest with you.
yeah. And you ever meet somebody that was like a comic person that you're like they act like there's one guy, I won't name him because I don't want to I'll tell you later if you want to know, but I won't name him on air. But there's a guy that I met one time at a con that was like so full of himself. He was just like walking around. He had made it, like he had done a bunch of stuff for Marvel and stuff, DC and other comics. But I just like, he was just so arrogant. I was like, oh my God, like I liked your work, but now I don't anymore. Like, It's amazing. Sometimes they say don't meet your heroes, and sometimes you do, and they're really cool people. But every once in a while, man, you're just like, oh, that's rough.
There's definitely folks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Wolf Spider, and you have a few other books as well, right?
yeah. So I have Is Not of the Word Spider. That's my main one. Recently just published Hammer, John Henry versus the Robot
I
Apocalypse.
love that idea. I wanted to talk to you about that. When I looked it up, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is such a smart idea. Very clever. I applaud you, sir. It's very clever.
Thank you, thank you. I have Akim Aliu Dreamer that I wrote for Scholastic, that I wrote with Akim Aliu, who's an actual black hockey player who's also a bit of a whistleblower of some of the racist bullshit in the hockey league.
You don't
Just
say.
I know, right? Which is so
Yeah.
their motto used to be like hockey is for everybody, to try to emphasize some diversity, but it's like there's only 5% people of color. What the hell?
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember. Was it the Toronto Maple Leafs or is that one guy with the dreadlocks? I can't remember his name, but I'm not a big hockey person. But he was. There's that one. He was always like the example. They'd be like, "There's no black people in hockey." He'd be like that guy there. He's right there. Look at him. It's like,
this guy right here.
yeah, right there. That guy. We're not
Uh,
racist. We got this guy.
yeah, I've done Stronghold, One Nation Stronghold for 133 Art. So many other stuff like some anthologies I've been a part of, including Young Men in Love, which also won the GLAD. Um,
Oh, wow.
Torchbearer.
That's really cool. What's Young Men in Love? I didn't hear about that one. I was
So
looking.
Young Men in Love was it's two volumes actually, an anthology from a Wave Blue World Publishing, where the creators you had Matt Miner, Joe Glass, and one other person whose name I'm forgetting. My apologies if you watch this.
Hmm.
But it was three three queer, definitely queer guys who wanted to have a book with young young queer love stories,
Hmm.
and they wanted to make it like middle age appropriate type
Hmm.
thing. And because it's like you have all these kids who are struggling with their sexualities and they always want some type of content, but everything is so fucking adult, and they came together. They got a bunch of different creators to come up with short, cutesy type stories, and my story was my story. I used to pitch it as think of it as Buffy the Vampire Slayers, but with black people. Um,
That
yeah,
sounds cool.
yeah, and it was these two friends who were demon hunters, and one of them falls in love with the other, and it's a little like unrequited type because the other one ends up being straight.
Hmm.
Uh, and so it was one of those things where when the publishers they read it, they were like, "Oh my God!" It was like we everyone else is like a typical, not a typical,
Hmm.
but like a love story. But this was one thing that a lot of people go through, but you never
Yeah.
really like the stories about it of like falling in love with your best friend, and it's like, sorry, I'm straight, dude.
Yeah.
And then because of the popularity for that book, and we won the GLAD, we won a couple of other awards for it. There were people reaching out to me asking for a part two of my story. And
Oh.
so I hit up, my artist, David Brame, who's also doing the art for Hammer.
Hmm.
I was like, yo, you want to do a part two? And he was like, hell yeah. And so we did another fun little follow-up for that. And we're sort of toying with the idea of maybe expanding it into its own book.
Cool.
It's just trying to find the time for it.
Wow, that sounds like a really cool and artful and fun book for children that children should probably read. How many states is it banned in? I'm going to guess several.
I don't actually,
Really?
I should ask that question.
Not to get into all that, but I
I
that I read all these books that get on these lists. I read the Gender Queer was like the biggest one, and I finally read it because I was at a book fair where they had it. I was like, I'm gonna grab this and read it. It's such a beautiful book and something that really actually can help someone who isn't in that world understand that world a lot better. And it just helps you learn. And it's just the kind of thing that I don't understand why they just can't let people have things.
Nah, not at all. I'm looking forward to if any one of my books one day gets banned. I would be so excited.
That would be excellent. Yeah.
I made it. I finally did
Look at the people around you. Look at the books that are the company you'll be keeping.
it, right?
You know, they're most of them are fantastic books. You know,
Yeah, I
and
know one of my friend's books, well, what associate friend here, Jerry Craft, he does was it New Guy? And that was banned. That was part of like the ban list. And I was just like, bro, what? This wholesome story about being like a black kid, like being a new guy in school, that gets banned? Are you
that's
serious?
it. That's all the story is.
Like, like there's more to it,
Yeah,
but it's
the jest. Wow.
yeah. I'm just like, come on, man. It's such a that was one of those things where I was like, bro, you made it, man. Like I want that.
That's true. It's like all the books that are about like it's funny that like the books that are about like fascist governments that keep down the freedom of speech and do all that sort of thing are the ones getting banned too. It's like, Margaret Atwood's book, I have to plug another Canadian here. The Handmaid's Tale, of course, is like frequently banned in various places all the time. And it's like it's a dystopian look at what goes wrong with society unchecked. And it's like, well, why does this threaten you? Is it because people are comparing you to it? Maybe you should
Yeah.
reevaluate yourself a little bit because uh, maybe so. Well, that's super cool. So so what are you working on nowadays? Like what's next? What's on the docket?
So at the moment we are doing Act Two for Hammer,
Nice.
Dracula versus Robot Apocalypse. But I wanted to give David, my artist, a break after doing the first one, but I think he just got so excited with it, so he just jumped on to the next part. I'm like,
It's beautiful. It looks beautiful.
thank you, thank you. Wait till you guys see part two. It's nuts. For Isnana, I'm working on like 3 or 4 different Isnana stories right now.
Hmm.
I'm trying to launch volume 3, which is going to collect the last 4 releases that I did for Isnana. Because this year is actually the 10th year
Oh
anniversary
wow.
for it. I haven't really announced it.
Congratulations. That's quite a feat in independent comics.
Yeah, it is. I'm very happy for it.
Yeah.
But right now, I still have a lot of books to send out for the campaign for Hammer, and I never want to be one of those people who continue to launch books and they still haven't fulfilled everything. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to do all that I can right now. I'm a one-man team trying to get all the fulfillment done for Hammer, and then I can focus on Volume 3 of Isnana and launch that. Hopefully, try to get through all the pesky algorithms that are suppressing all of us artists right now.
Hmm. As
Um,
as a creator, as a writer, as an artist yourself, how rewarding is it to write AI as a villain? It must feel very rewarding.
um, so what is funny? What is so scary about AI as well? I have a friend who's written a couple of novels, and he's doing a comic book adaptation of his novel series. And I think he was writing some of his next book, and he kept getting the prompt for like AI on this thing. And I think just to experiment with it, he decided to allow it to write the next section of his
Hmm.
book. And it literally like analyzed the way he writes, like everything, like the way he breaks down sentences, the way he describes things, and all this other shit. And it analyzed it and it wrote the next section. And he was so freaked out by it that he was just like, absolutely not. Like, and I was just like, people are cool with this, And he
Yeah,
was so freaked out. He was, I'm never using this again. There's hell no, like none of this shit. And I'm just like, the fact that yeah, so many people are gonna be using this thing, and it's gonna be this is me, this is my work, and it's like, no, it's not. It's really not. It's really not your
I
work.
was talking to so I do a lot of things. So one of the things I do is I'm executive director of a theater, like a performing arts theater. And we had a show on the weekend with Kevin McDonald, who's one of the kids in the hall. I'm not sure if you know that show, but it was a Canadian sketch show that made it to the States. He does a lot of voice work in cartoons. He's in Invader Zim and Lilo and Stitch and a lot of other stuff too. But He was talking about producers, like how when you work on film and TV, I'm sure you're familiar, how much like producers are like creative producers are business people that want to be creative types that couldn't hack it for whatever reason. So they have this, a lot of them have this desire to add to it because they want to feel like they're contributing to something creatively, but they don't actually have to do all of the hard work of creating the thing. It's just a matter of saying, "We'll throw a dog in there," or make this character say "man" a lot because that's cool. That's what the kids love. Due to some metric or something. So I feel like AI is exactly that. It's like it allows people that don't want to put in the work or the time to try to actually be creative to make something that they can take credit for that they think is creative, but really is obviously just a weird Frankenstein monster of everything that came before it. But it's like because I originally I'm a graphic designer originally, so my whole career up to this point has been, the art design, and I did comics and stuff too. So it's just wild to see like professional posters for events and stuff now start coming out with like these obvious AI pictures, and because it all kind of looks the same when someone prompts one of them to do it for them, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird, especially in promotions and stuff, and in artistic things too. Like there's a theater group that I'm in, and one of the directors recently had used AI to do all of the posters and all of his art for the. And I remember saying to someone else in the group because like I wasn't involved in the production, nothing to do with it. But I'm like, he could have asked me, number one. Number two, um, like you're in an artistic endeavor and you're telling the public come see this art we've created, and you're also showing them that you are happy having a computer create art for you as well. It's such a weird mismatch of messaging. I was
Mm.
like, why don't we just have AI do the same play? We'll just have it make a movie with, I don't know, Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart in the two main roles and put that on the screen and just let them watch that. Like, what's the point of doing it? Like, why not? We can do that now. What's the point?
That
I don't
reminds me
know.
of something about that. You ever remember that movie Simone? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Didn't that practically what they ended up doing was
Yeah,
create this
yeah. They
fake?
created a fake. Yes, yes, yes. An actress that was an AI actress. Yes, I totally forgot about that movie. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I know that like the news was talking about that clip of like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting on a roof that was done all through AI and how good it looks. And it's like, you gotta be careful. Like this is where it's going. Like studios don't even need people anymore. You can just get, you know, you can have Gene Hackman and trying to think of some Jimmy Stewart when he was young do a movie together now. It's like whatever. I understand there's tool like AI is a tool and I'm sure it can be used for great things. Curing cancer would be nice. Let's do that.
Right?
But maybe not art. I don't know. Like let's let art be a human thing. To me, like self-expression through art is such a deeply human thing, and it's like why take that away? Like of all the things AI can do, why are we focused on letting it make art? Man.
This is why we need a real life John Henry. Fucking facilities and AI facilities.
With a
But
hammer.
exactly.
Yeah, no, that's such a cool concept, and it's one of those things that when you ever see a concept that when you see it, and you're like, "How is now the first time I've heard it?" You know what I mean? Like, how have I not seen this happen before? So, like, it's really it just snaps. You're like, this is a perfect combination of two stories, um, to do it that way. So, it's very, like I said, kudos. Very, very, very clever.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Awesome. You got any cons or anything coming up? You're gonna be at?
Yeah, so I just finished BlurCon this past weekend.
Hmm.
Next weekend, I'm about to do AwesomeCon in DC. In 2 weeks, I'm gonna be in Chicago for C2E2. What other shows? There's the weekend after that, I believe it's the Boston in Color, or Color in Boston, convention. I think there's the Brooklyn Independent Showcase, um, Brooklyn Independent Comic Showcase. What other shows I'm doing? Heroes Con. I'm gonna try to see if I can get into Brooklyn Con and hopefully New York Comic Con.
Awesome. Busy
Um,
schedule.
yeah, it's the life of a hustler,
Yes,
man.
sir. I hear you. Believe me,
True.
I hear you. And where can people buy the books? Where do we find them?
So there's my web store, webwaycomics.ecwid.com. You'll be able to find all my Is None of the Word Spider books. If they're not in print, you'll at least get them digitally from my site as well. Hammer, John Henry versus the Robot Apocalypse is also on there, both physical and digital. You can also probably just type in my name on Amazon. Some of the books that I've worked on for other people will probably pop up there, as well as the first two volumes of Isnana, Dreamer, Akim Aliru, story about the black kid in hockey.
Mhm.
Um, Whole bunch of other books. You probably
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just looking
uh,
at it now. There's a lot of great stuff here.
thank you, thank you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Greg. It's been really fun talking to you.
Yeah, well, this was a fun chat. I loved it. I had a great
Awesome.
time.
Well, have yourself a great day. And thanks again.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Bye-bye. There you have it, my conversation with Greg Elysée. A great chat with a great guest. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to get out there and support your local shops. And if you're involved in the arts sector in Nova Scotia, keep fighting. And if not, and you just support the arts, I assume you do if you're listening to a podcast about comics, make sure to support your friends that are involved in that industry, because governments don't tend to respect arts when it comes to cutting the budget cuts, and it's always the first in the chopping block, and if you're not careful, they'll keep cutting and eventually be nothing left to take. So I did not speak out when they came for my trying to turn that into a parable about comics, when they took my theater, and they did not call out when they took my movies, and then eventually comics. I don't know. It's late, I'm tired, and I'm just happy to get this episode out for you to listen to. So speak out, support your local arts, support your local theater, support your local musicians. Just get out there and support the arts. It's important. All right, join in next week for another episode. Hopefully it'll be next week. We'll see. I do have some plans, so as long as I go according to plan, there'll be a new episode, but check out the socials for what that will be. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun, support the arts, and read some comics. Those are the arts too. This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.